They said I died. They said I was gay. They said Jay-Z was my dad.
He said, you know Will raped me. You know Diddy made me suck his penis. You know what's going on. You know Charlie made me suck.
And I know, 50, the way you run, this cannot be all that you have. Is there other stuff that you just have not shown?
Yeah, well, everything couldn't make the... It was 4 episodes.
Right.
So it was a lot. You had to pick and choose things like...
They said he was crazy. They said he fell off. They said he ruined his own career. But now his name is back in the conversation, and this time it's connected to 50 Cent, a second documentary, and some very serious allegations that people have been whispering about for years. Bryshere Gray is reportedly working with 50 Cent, and if what's being said is true, documentary part 2 may finally put male victims at the center of the story. Not rumors, not jokes, actual names, actual footage, and actual damage. And before anybody gets defensive, let me be clear. Everything in this video is alleged, based on public interviews, court filings, blind items, and first-hand claims. Some details are still unclear, and some people involved have denied everything. But the pattern people are pointing to is what has folks paying attention. Because Bryshere didn't just disappear for no reason. Now, before we get into 50 Cent and the documentary, we need to talk about Bryshere himself, because a lot of people only know him as Hakeem from Empire and stopped paying attention after that. Bryshere Gray was introduced as a breakout star, young, talented, emotional, and very marketable. Empire made him a household name almost overnight. But behind the scenes, things were already going left. According to multiple industry insiders, Bryshere was brought into certain circles under the promise of mentorship, acting help, music help, career guidance. He was young, inexperienced, and trusting the people who had real power. And that's where names like Diddy, Will Smith, and Charlie Mack keep coming up. Jaguar Wright has been saying for years that Bryshere was introduced to Diddy and Will Smith through Charlie Mack under the idea of mentorship. Diddy for music, Will for acting. On paper, that sounds like a dream situation. But according to Jaguar, that wasn't what was really happening. She claims Bryshere was allegedly pulled into private environments where boundaries were crossed, lines were blurred, and control was disguised as opportunity. She has repeatedly said young men left those environments scared, confused, and traumatized. Now, Jaguar is controversial, and she's loud, and she's reckless with how she speaks. But what made people pause is that other voices started lining up with parts of her story.
They're both bisexual, they do weird things in their house, and young men have left their house fucking screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Meek Mills. Bryshere Gray left that house fucking screaming. August the only one that stayed, and I guess he was really sick. He needed help.
Terrence Howard, Bryshere's co-star on Empire, made comments that many people believe were indirectly referencing what was happening. He didn't name names, he didn't spell it out. But when he talked about men losing their man card in Hollywood and never recovering, people connected dots.
You know, but when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things. When you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
The exact details are still unclear, but what's consistent is this. After Empire, Bryshere's life started unraveling fast. Public breakdowns, arrests, mental health episodes, videos of him crying, videos of him denying rumors, videos of him saying people were lying on his name. At one point, police were called to his home over reports that he was trying to harm himself. He denied it, saying someone lied on him. But even in that moment, you could see he was overwhelmed. And that's when people started asking the uncomfortable question. What happened to him? Now fast forward to 50 Cent. 50 has been on Diddy's neck for years. That's not new. But when he released his first documentary focusing on Diddy, things shifted. This wasn't just jokes and Instagram posts anymore. This involved lawsuits, sworn statements, and on-camera accusations. Male victims were finally being discussed seriously. Lil Rod came forward and described being invited to Miami to work, only to be pulled into non-stop partying. He described waking up disoriented, sore, and confused, sometimes with women, sometimes with Diddy himself. He said it took years to process what he believes happened to him. In a recorded interview, Lil Rod said, "Some days those girls next to me woke up. Some days he was in the bed. I would wake up feeling sore, still not understanding exactly what was transpiring." That's not gossip. That's a man describing trauma.
There's a lot of things that happen to me I just don't even want to speak on, you know what I'm saying? Some days those girls next to me woke up, some days he was in the bed. I would wake up feeling sore, still not understanding exactly what's, you know what I'm saying, transpiring. But this is me starting to understand that I was drugged pretty often. I tried to confide in KK Christina, that's Puff's chief of staff. And I thought it would be more, understood if I took it to someone who's a woman. But she was always like, trying to down.
This video is not in defense of Diddy in no shape, form, or fashion. This video is in protest of bullshit. Speaking about this nigga Lil Rod in particular, I don't give a fuck how much money a nigga got, how powerful he is. If I'm working with you, son, and I wake up with a sore ass, son, it's lit. If you're a heterosexual male and another man does something to you sexually that you did not approve of, you either gotta do something about it or take that shit to the grave, son. Same thing with your man Terry Crews back in the day, talking about the white man grabbed up on him and he ain't do nothing about it. Anytime I see a heterosexual male come out with claims of being touched and groped in a way he didn't want, I assumed it was consensual, son. Your man Lil Rod in that documentary talking about he woke up sore, he don't know what happened to him, son. I know what would happen to Diddy, though. I don't give a fuck how much money you got, how powerful you are. If you are a heterosexual man and the man touch you, you supposed to do something to him or take that shit to the grave, son. Lil Rod got a Lil Rod that night a couple of times and they do nothing about it. Lil Rod out here lying, son, all was consensual. Pack Lil Rod up, son, for real.
Aubrey O'Day also appeared, sharing emails and affidavits that involved her being unconscious during alleged encounters. She said there were things she didn't remember and honestly preferred not to remember. So when people say this documentary opened the door for male victims, that's not an exaggeration. It did. Which brings us back to Bryshere Gray. After part 1 dropped, people immediately started asking 50 Cent why Bryshere wasn't included. His name has been floating around these rumors for years, yet he's been largely ignored or treated like a joke. According to multiple sources online, Bryshere was reportedly preparing a $50 million lawsuit related to what allegedly happened to him. A blind item even suggested a male victim connected to Diddy would eventually come forward. That lawsuit never materialized, and people believe that embarrassment, exposure threats, and pressure may have played a role. Jaguar Wright has claimed that Bryshere was intentionally humiliated and destabilized so he wouldn't feel comfortable speaking publicly. She has also accused people close to him, including family members, of allowing harmful situations to continue because money was involved.
And when I say Andy, I'm talking about Bryshere's mom. I'ma kick you in your pussy and then I'ma go to work North Philly style, bitch. Fuck you. And Charlie. You happy now? He's a gay porn star. Are you happy now, Andy? For a book that didn't sell? I hope that new husband of yours leaves you. And maybe it's time you tell your son why his father is really in jail, his biological father, for all of his life, and what you had to do with it. Fuck you! You fucking CI bitch! That bitch came to me and begged me for my help. I told her to get the fuck away from Charlie. I did everything that I could do to get Bryshere, to help her get Bryshere out of California into Chicago State to be ready for filming. She knew she knew what Will did to him. But because of Charlie, see? And Charlie had promised her all kinds of things. And all she had to do was pretend to be a broken down single mom who worked her way up through the ghetto and raised a superstar for television, when the truth is she wasn't nothing but a drug dealer's whore. That's all she ever was. She went from drug dealer to drug dealer, and then she snitched on whoever she needed to snitch on until she could get to the bigger bag, until she got with Larry Lair, my friend who raised Bryshere in $1 million home. Your whole book is lies, Andy. And I hope anybody that bought it asks for a refund and demands it comes out of your pocket every time they see your son's gay porn. You ain't Charlie Lang.
Yeah, let me ask you. Today the U.S. Attorney.
That.
They. So. Yeah, no, we gonna pray for Mr. Gray, man. If he needs prayer, I don't even know what's going on.
They're trying to slay him out so he'll feel too embarrassed to file his lawsuit against Diddy for what Will and Diddy did to him. With Jaden and Justin present, that tape exists.
Okay.
I really hope none of that baby oil was used on those kids. That would just be in bad taste. Baby oil on babies.
You can't say that the flavor camp was sponsored by Johnson & Johnson. You just come on. Come on.
Starting to sound that way, ain't it?
No.
All that talent, and they fucking, and she let Charlie tune that boy up on coke, knowing that he was bipolar and had ADHD. What kind of mother would do that to her son? Turn him into a prostitute so you could pretend to be something more than what you are, which is nothing more than a Philly whore. You're a whore. You're a bigger whore than they're making your son out to be, that's for sure. Because he didn't have no choice. You was down by all. I'm sorry. The Bryshere conversation for me is not easy. Because I came to Belial and I asked Belial to help me save the kids, and all he was worried about was his fucking book.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Don't nobody care about these kids. Don't nobody care about these kids.
Those are serious accusations. And again, they are allegations. But what makes them harder to ignore is how Bryshere's life looks now compared to where he started, which is why the rumor that Bryshere is now working with 50 Cent has people paying attention. According to online chatter, Bryshere may be involved in documentary part 2. Whether that means an interview, footage, or behind-the-scenes cooperation is still unknown, but 50 Cent has never been subtle. If he includes Bryshere, it won't be quiet, it won't be gentle, and it won't be accidental. And that scares a lot of people. Because if Bryshere speaks, it changes the conversation. Male victims are already dismissed. Add celebrity, power, and sexuality into it, and people get uncomfortable fast. Instead of asking what happened, they ask why he stayed, why he didn't fight, why he didn't leave. But trauma doesn't work like that, especially when you're young, isolated, and depending on the same people for your livelihood. If Bryshere is truly cooperating with 50 Cent, this could be the first time his story is told in a structured way, instead of through breakdowns, clips, and speculation. It could also explain why his name is suddenly resurfacing again. Now, none of this means every rumor is true. It doesn't mean every name mentioned is guilty. And it doesn't mean Bryshere owes the public anything. But it does mean the industry is being forced to confront something it's avoided for decades. Male victims exist. Abuse doesn't always look violent, and power changes consent in ways people don't like to admit. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think Bryshere Gray will actually appear in documentary part 2? And if he does, do you think people will finally listen to him? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to keep up with how this story continues to unfold, make sure you're subscribed. I'll see you in the next one.